Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, kids, I hope you have enjoyed the previous geography lesson, and here I am back once again with you for teaching geography. I'm Safar Khan and Roots and Wings Academy. Let's get started. What do you see on your screen? Yep, it's a night sky. And just imagine um, Shamama is sleeping at her house at night and she gets a call from Madhya. Madhya is in Germany now and she calls Shamama at night 11:30 in India time. Shamama wakes up from her sleep and informs Madhya that it's too late. But Madhya is like, anything? Seriously? It's only 7 o'clock in Germany now. Well, they spoke for a while and Madhya hung up, but Shamama was curious. She asked her mother after the call, how was that possible that in India it's 11:30 at night while in Germany it is only 7 p.m.? Then Shamama's mother explained her the reason behind it and she asked her to get a globe. So, in this chapter, we are also going to understand what a globe is. We will learn about the parallels of latitude and the meridians of longitude and locating places on the globe. Describe the heat zones of the Earth and discuss the different time zones of the Earth. I know most of this has already been done in your grade 5 last year, so let's quickly revise all the topics with me at Roots and Wings. Right, so a globe is a small spherical model of the Earth, like this. It represents the Earth in its exact shape, like the Earth, it is protruding at the equator while flattened at the poles. And if you see, so it's a bit tilted on the axis. It can be rotated as well. The Earth, with its different physical features, is drawn on the curved surface of the globe to make an accurate representation. So you see, different countries have been labeled differently. This is a political kind of globe. You will find physical globes, and we normally do not find thematic globes. Globes have their own benefits, but they have their drawbacks too. Like globe, it is not portable. You cannot carry it in your pocket because it's bulky. It's big. Um, I mean, this is a very small globe compared to what we have at school, compared to different globe sizes in the market in different societies. It cannot provide us detailed information about various themes, such as how much Earth is covered with forest. What is the climate over here? What kind of vegetation is grown here? Distribution of minerals and industries, like I told you. Thematic maps, thematic representation of the Earth is not possible on the globe. Detailed representation of landforms of the Earth is also not possible on the globe. But globes are interesting. Globes help us understand rotation and revolution as well. Right. So, what are latitudes and longitudes, and how can you locate places on a globe? We can locate any place on a map or a globe using a grid. A grid is a set of horizontal and vertical lines that crisscross each other and form a network. if you see over here, you will find these square boxes. This network of lines, these imaginary lines, when they cross each other and when they form a network, they are called as a grid. These imaginary lines on which our Earth rotates is called its axis. There's one imaginary line over here from the center, from North Pole to the South Pole. It passes through the center of the Earth. The two ends, this top portion and this bottom portion, they are called as poles. The north pole to the pole towards the north is North Pole, and the pole towards the south is South Pole, of course. These two poles are two fixed points of reference on the Earth's surface, and all other lines are drawn with respect to these points. You can see if we just have a clear look at the Earth, so this should be our straight line, but it is a bit tilted on its axis, and this portion is North and South Pole. The imaginary line around the Earth, exactly midway the two poles, is called the equator. This is our equator, which divides the Earth into two equal halves, and these halves are called hemispheres. The top part is northern hemisphere, the bottom part is southern hemisphere. There is one imaginary line in between, midway between the two poles, and this line is equator. North Pole, South Pole, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and we have equator. Now, a set of imaginary circular lines drawn horizontally between the two poles parallel to the equator are called as the parallels of latitudes. These are parallels of latitudes. Let me show you on the globe as well. When you have the center line equator, so just above, just below it, you have parallel lines, and these lines which run from east to west, they are called as parallels of latitudes. Then another set of imaginary line, remember set means number of imaginary lines are drawn vertically from North Pole to South Pole, North Pole to South Pole, and they are called as meridians of longitude. Parallels of latitude, meridians of longitude. They run in the north to south direction, and all the pairs of meridians of longitude divide the globe again into two equal halves, eastern and western. You see here, this is our equator, and then you have the parallels of latitude going up to the North Pole, and then again parallels of latitude to the South Pole. But here, these meridians of longitude, now they are not parallel to each other because they meet each other at North and South Pole. Thus, when you join these two diagrams into one, where you can see all the latitudes and longitudes crossing each other, that forms our grid. So, what is the importance of latitudes anyway? Well, the important parallels of latitudes are, we have a minimum of 5 important parallels of latitudes. Remember that, 5 important parallels of latitude. Number 1, which divides the earth into two halves. That is the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. Central part is your equator. Equator is called to be at 0 degrees. Then you have Tropic of Cancer. It is in the north at 23.5 degrees north. Remember the words that I'm using: 23.5 degrees north. Also Tropic of Capricorn in 23.5 degrees south. Then again going top, Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north, and Antarctic Circle 63.5 degrees south. Of course, our northern pole is at 90 degrees north, southern pole 90 degrees south. So you have to remember the directions plus degrees. North pole, south pole, 90 degrees north, 90 degrees south. The two poles have the distance of 180 degrees each. From northern pole to southern pole you have 180 degrees distance. Then parallels of latitudes and finding distance. How can you find the distance? Well, the parallels of latitude are referred to as parallels because they are equidistant from one another and they are measured in degrees. You see, these are equidistant. They maintain their distance. They never cross or they never meet each other. They always run parallel. The parallels of latitude represent the distance of a location in relation to the equator. This is the relationship. 23 degrees north means this distance in the northern side of our equator. For example, if a place lies at 30 degrees north latitude, it means that the place is located at 30 degrees towards the north of the equator. You need to cross the Tropic of Cancer. And at the same time, if a place is at 10 degrees south latitude, it means that the place is located at 10 degrees towards the south of the equator. You need to come down of the equator 10 degrees. So that place can be at any point below 10 degrees of the equator. How will you find exact location of one place? We'll discuss it in few moments, I believe. You see, the distance of North Pole in degrees, I told you it's 90 degrees north. But actually, look at that number, 10 million meters. Is it 10 millions? Come on, count. You need 10,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. Is it? You need 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million and 10 million. Of course, it's 10 million meters. Roughly 10,000 kilometers. Is it 10,000 or more? Find it out. How many kilometers will this be? Then here we can see all the latitudes going from 0 degrees to the regions above in the northern pole and coming down from 0 degrees to 90 degrees south in the southern region. All the latitudes are at equal distance.
Latitudes and longitudes. Introduction. Our Earth roughly resembles an orange in shape. It is slightly flattened at the top and bottom. The 2 points, one at the top and the other at the bottom, are referred to as the North Pole and the South Pole respectively. There is an imaginary line passing through the center called the axis. The Earth rotates on these fixed points and the imaginary axis. Just halfway between the poles, an imaginary circle passes through the Earth. This circle is known as the equator because it divides the Earth's surface into two equal hemispheres. The upper hemisphere of the Earth is the northern hemisphere and the lower one is the southern hemisphere. There are imaginary lines drawn on maps and globes in a crisscross pattern that help pinpoint locations anywhere on Earth. These lines are called latitudes and longitudes. Finding a location. If you were at 77 degrees to the west of the prime meridian, your longitudinal location would be 77 degrees west. If you were at 38 degrees north of the equator and 77 degrees west of the prime meridian, then your location would be 38 degrees north, 77 degrees west.
Now, how does these how do these latitudes affect the climate, the heat zones on the earth? Well, in our previous chapter of grade 5, you've seen that there are different climatic zones: torrid zone, temperate zones, and frigid zones. So these parallels of latitudes also divide the earth into different heat zones. And what are heat zones? Climate zones of the earth, which are determined by the angle of the sun's rays, direct impact of the rays of the sun at the equator, and slanting rays. You can see here on my globe, you have the light falling on this globe directly, if you see. So the rays over here, when they fall, you can see this region very clearly, and then the rays slant at the north and the southern region. So just like light, the heat is also transferred in the same way. At the center of the earth, in the equatorial region, you have hottest places on the earth. As you go up and as you go down, you will find the temperature decreasing. Which zone do you think India falls in then? Well, it's given on the map over here. Find it out. This heat zone is not because all parts of the earth receive this rays of the sun uniformly. They are not uniform. We have difference of impact of the rays on the earth. Since the earth is spherical in shape, we know that the sun's rays become more and more slanting as we move away from the equator and go towards the poles. Direct rays give more heat than the slanting rays. That's why equatorial region, which gets the direct rays, is hotter than the northern regions and the southern regions, which receive slanting rays. Based on the heat received from the sun, the earth is divided into three heat zones. They are torrid, temperate, and frigid. Here you see this is a torrid zone. This zone is known as the tropical torrid zone because it lies between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. If you remember, 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south. Remember, important parallels of latitude. This is the importance here. From 0 degrees, here 0 degrees equator to 23.5 degrees north and to 23.5 degrees south, this whole belt is Tropic of Cancer. This region receives direct rays from the sun throughout the year. No matter what season you go into, which month you go into, the rays are going to be direct all the time. Then we have temperate zone. The temperate zones receive slanting rays of the sun and are therefore neither too hot nor too cold. There are two temperate zones. Northern temperate zone, that is just above the Tropic of Cancer, and southern temperate zone below the Tropic of Capricorn and just above the Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle here where you receive a very less sunlight. That's why you will see it comes under frigid zone. These two frigid zones, they don't receive direct sunlight, they receive very less sunlight. They are above the Arctic Circle to the North Pole and below the Antarctic Circle and to the South Pole. They receive extremely slant rays of the sun and very less sunlight. These rays carry less amount of heat and therefore the frigid zones are extremely cold. Come on, name these. Solve this checkpoint and send it to me ASAP. Now, this is your activity. You have to name 3 countries from the torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone. If you want, you can refer to the atlas or globe or take help from Google.
Climatic zones. The latitudes divide the Earth into 3 different climatic zones. They are the torrid zone or tropical zone, the temperate zone, and the frigid zone. The torrid zone is that part of the Earth which lies on both sides of the equator between the tropics. It is also known as the tropical zone and is the hottest part of the Earth. The sun's rays fall vertically on each place within this zone at least twice a year. The temperate zone lies between the hot and the cold zones. Its location is between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. The zone has moderate climatic conditions. The frigid zone lies around the North Pole within the Arctic Circle and around the South Pole within the Antarctic Circle. It is also known as the Arctic Zone in the northern hemisphere and the Antarctic Zone in the southern hemisphere. This is a very cold zone.
Now we spoke about latitudes, let's talk about longitudes. The reference line, not this one, this one. The reference line at the center of the Earth, which divides the Earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, is equator. But when you have straight lines dividing the Earth into eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere, those are called as longitudes, and the central line, the main reference line chosen for the longitudes, is called as prime meridian. This line that passes through Greenwich from London is not from London, near London. That is our prime meridian. Now, what is the function of prime meridian? Yes, this function is to give the east-west location of a particular place with reference to the prime meridian. Just like that, with reference to equator, we say that it is 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south. But if you want to come to a common point, for example, this near Delhi, you can say that Tropic of Cancer passes near Delhi, so that is 23.5, and any line on the longitude will give you exact location of that place. Let's find more details about it later. But here, when you talk about prime meridian, it passes through England, France, and Togo, then here again in regions of Antarctica. So, what is the importance of prime meridian? Of course, it tells us about time. And Greenwich Mean Time (GMT) is it's a kind of a reference point of time for the whole Earth. GMT is the clock time of the Royal Observatory at Greenwich in London. It is located on the prime meridian, right? Prime meridian. GMT is widely used as the standard time to calculate time in different time zones of the world. How, we will see it in a moment. Um, these are some pictures from GMT, that observatory, and there's one clock over here near Royal Observatory, Greenwich. Shepherd Patente. So now it's a nice place worth visiting someday, inshallah. Will you join me? Right, now the importance of equator and prime meridian. 0 degree latitude is equator, 0 degree longitude is prime meridian. Just like equator divides the earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, prime meridian divides the earth into eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. The equator is the reference line for the latitudes, and prime meridian is the reference line for longitudes. So if you want to talk about this region where India falls, that is northeastern region. You see, northeastern region. Where does Brazil fall into? Southwestern region. So importance of directions, once again, go back to your grade 3 classes. This is important. Directions are very important. Now, how do we locate different countries? So the intersection point of a parallel and a meridian gives the exact location of a place. Like you have grids, like you have crossing points. The points at which the latitude and longitudes cross one another are known as the coordinates. When you have crossing points, so these are called as coordinates. For example, here I have H line in this column, and this is row number 4. If you want to locate this place, what is that? Is it a hotel or is it a bus stop? Whatever. So if you want to go here, I can say, all right, go to H4. If you want to go at this place, it looks like a theater to me, movie theater. So where does it fall? B4. Big hotel. Where is it? Right, G7, not 6, 7. And then this place is at E1. It's quite easier, you see. Once you give proper coordinates, it becomes easier for the others to follow. Now, can you find out the place on this map in D3? I know you found it, it's here. And C7. Gotcha, thank you much. Have a look at this map again. With the help of longitudes and latitudes, we can locate any place on the globe. This is Maharashtra, and as you know that India falls in the eastern region, so you have all the E points, E meridians over here, 73, 74, 75, and it's of course in the northern hemisphere, so you have all the north references. Maharashtra, and specifically Mumbai, is at 19 degrees north, 19 degrees north of the equator, and 73 degrees east of the prime meridian. It becomes easier. 19 degrees north, 73 degrees east. Find it on the Google map. So the intersection point of a parallel and a meridian gives the exact location, as you have seen earlier. Now, longitudes and time of different places. You see, these are meridians. These are longitudes. And for the reference point on the globe, we have prime meridian, which passes through Greenwich near London. And the places that fall on the same longitude, the places that are on the same longitude, they come under the same time zone. As the longitude changes with each minute, the time changes too. As you keep on shifting from east to west, there is a change in time. Now, the prime meridian is the standard longitude, and the longitude on the western side of the prime meridian go behind in their time. And when you go on the eastern side, like here, prime meridian go on the eastern side and they go behind in time. Let's take some example here. Places located under the same meridian experiences noon together. For example, London and this part of Africa, and then here Antarctica, they have noon, they have 12 o'clock at the same time. The word meridian is derived from the Latin word meridianus, which means midday. So meridian, prime meridian, meridian means midday. Therefore, the sun's position during midday is signified by the meridian. Therefore, AM stands for ante-meridian, which means before noon. PM stands post-meridian, which means afternoon. That's why after 12 we say good afternoon. Before 12 in the morning we say good morning. This is very important now. The difference between two longitudes is 4 minutes. This difference between any two longitude is 4 minutes. Here on this map it's very difficult to understand, but you have longitudes drawn very close to each other and they have a distance of 4 minutes. Time taken to cover 360 degrees is 24 hours. Like when you cross from this point in the east, when you cross it, so to cover the whole globe, it takes 24 hours. You know it, right? For one complete rotation, we call it rotation. It takes 24 hours for one rotation. And the earth also rotates on its axis from like this. So it takes 24 hours. Thus, time taken to cover 1 degree is 24 into 60, that is 4 minutes. So how much time do you think it will take to cover from 0 degrees to 15 degrees? You have to multiply it by 4. 15 multiplied by 4 is exactly 60. As the earth rotates from west to east, the places on the east are ahead of time. Therefore, the places on the east, the time is added by 4 minutes for each longitude, while for each longitude on the west, 4 minutes have to be subtracted. Example, India. India comes under the zone of GMT plus 5.5 hours. For example, if it is 12 noon over here in England, it would already be 5:30 in the evening in India. वहाँ दोपहर के 12 है तो यहाँ शाम के 5:30 बज जाएंगे guys. So that is the addition in the eastern side of the globe. Example, suppose it's noon at Greenwich here. What will be the time at 15 east meridian, 15 degrees east meridian? It will be 1 hour addition. So it will be 1 p.m. here in the eastern region, and this western region at 15 degrees west, it will be 1 hour minus 11 a.m. 11 a.m. here, 12 noon here, and then 1 p.m. here. So Indian Standard Time is 5 hours and 30 minutes ahead of time compared to England. But if daylight saving is followed, India may then be 4 hours 30 minutes ahead of England. What are daylight savings? Well, daylight saving को याद रखने के लिए it's a very good formula: spring forward and fall back. Spring forward, fall back. When it is springtime, go 1 hour ahead. When it is fall, come back 1 hour. Let's find it. You set your clock forward 1 hour in the spring when daylight saving time is followed. That is, you start losing 1 hour. This springtime usually in India is followed in the month of March or April, and fall starts in October, November. So you have to minus 1 hour. That is, this is the month of October. For this period, you will gain 1 hour. Like it will be 4 hours and 30 minutes ahead. For example, if it is 12 noon in England, it will be 4:30 p.m. in India. Like this: spring forward, fall back. This is fall, October, November. We minus 1 hour from this schedule. Now these are the different time zones. Time zones are structured for the convenience of people around the world. Different places, different time zones. You need to understand the previous example of Shamama and Madhya. How Shamama was able to get a call from Madhya where it was 7 p.m. in Germany and 11:30 already in India. Different time zones. A time zone is a region that experiences a uniform standard of time for commercial and social purposes. There are 24 time zones all over the earth, as it takes 24 hours. With each passing time of 1 hour, like 15 degrees from east to west, we take it as 1 hour, and for 1 hour we have one time zone. All the earth is covered into 24 hours and 24 time zones. The 24 time zones are of 1 hour each. The time zones have been adjusted in some places so two different time zones do not overlap. We have some adjustments. For example, here India. I'll talk to you about India in a moment. Then importance of standard time. This is time zone. But what is the importance of standard time? Each country has its own standard time, like single standardized time within that geographical region. For example, India. In India, we follow same time zone throughout India, that is Indian Standard Time. Although if you see, we are into 3 different time zones. Gujarat, then here in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, then here in Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, we have different time zones, guys. There is a difference of 2 hours. The time difference between the easternmost and westernmost part of India is 2 hours. Have a look here. From Gujarat to Assam, it's the difference of 2 hours. So the time difference between Greenwich Meridian and IST is set at 5.5 hours. To avoid confusion, we follow the Indian Standard Time. Even if you go in Assam, even if you go in Gujarat, you will have the same time standard, Indian Standard Time. Look at the exact times, but actual times may vary. For example, here if you are in Maharashtra, it will be 4:18 p.m. But in Bihar, Patna, here in Bihar, Patna, it would be 4:19 p.m. and Delhi 4:20 p.m. West Bengal, in the farthest point, it would be 4 p.m. and 22 minutes, 4:22 p.m. These are actual time variations within India itself. Just imagine the time difference in the whole earth. In the whole globe, it's a difference of 24 hours, guys. Isn't it amazing? Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, it is He who makes the night enter the day and day enter the night. Same thing. We have change in day and night. The night enters the day, and this day enters the night. Amazing world. Different time zones in one country? Seriously? Yes, there are some countries which are so big, especially in the longitudes, they have very vast east to west extent, like United States of America, Russia, Canada, China. That's why they have different time zones, possibly. But China, you can see here, it follows one time zone only. Thus, they have different time zones. Each of these time zones has its standard time. Russia has 11 time zones. Gosh, Allahu Akbar, look here. Russia, this part, it has 11 time zones. And it has while United States of America has 5 time zones. You can see over here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have different time zones. So 180 degrees is the common east and west longitude. It is called the international dateline. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Allahu Akbar. What a beautiful lesson about our earth and how it has already been told in the Quran itself. A globe is a small spherical model of the earth which represents the earth in its exact shape. Equator divides the earth into northern and southern hemisphere. Equator is given as 0 degrees. The intersection point of the parallels of latitude and meridians of longitude determine exact location of the place. Like here, the three main heat zones are torrid, this is frigid, temperate and torrid at the center. Different countries around the world have different time zones, and time is also calculated on the basis of Greenwich Meridian Time, GMT. And this is a very beautiful activity about a ball. Take a ball, mark equator on it, try to mark different Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn latitudes as well, and then see how you feel heat, more heat over here in front of a candle. Put it here just like the sun. So the vertical rays that fall directly on the equator heats it up, making equator the hottest place, and then slanting lights at the northern and southern poles, making them less prone to heat and light. Do this activity, please. And I think and reflect, modern day ships and aircrafts use complex navigation systems. that make use of the knowledge of latitudes and longitudes. But how did voyagers in ancient days travel to different places? How did they ensure they were on the right track? For this, do you think you need to go back and check your previous lesson about the stars? About the pole star, maybe? Think over it. Columbus discovered in America. Write a small article on how he navigated and managed to discover America. We are talking about more than 200 years before time, 200 years ago. And refer to the atlas or a book of maps and write the names of only 10 countries. State their capital cities as well and find out the coordinates of their capital cities. How to find a coordinate on a map we will see just in a moment. As I told you, you can use Google Maps to find out different places on the earth. For example, here you can type anything what you want to search, like Roots and Wings Academy, Aurangabad. Type it all. So you will find your location, you will find your school given over here. But do you know that you can punch in your coordinates as well and find out the location of your place? Our cursor over here and see here you will get the coordinates. Click on it. You can again change the location. For example, as I told you when we were discussing Mumbai, 90 degrees north and what was that, 72 degrees east. What do you think will come up over here? We're going deep into it. So that's our location in Maharashtra. For example, if you just change 19 degrees to 20 degrees, or rather let's go to 73 degrees east, do you think it will take us to the same place? No, it will not. This is Thane Creek in Maharashtra, 19 degrees north and 73 degrees east. Then let us check what happens when we put 19 degrees north from equator, and 76 degrees east from prime meridian. Where will it take us? Yes, it has again brought us to Maharashtra. We are still in Maharashtra. That's Wadwani in. How amazing. What happens if I just change this location from 20 degrees 19 to 20 degrees north, keeping the same longitude? Will it be the same place? Nah, it won't be the same place. It will be different. Bhivgaon in Maharashtra. Let's go beyond. Tropic of Cancer. We are in Madhya Pradesh now. Do you know that we can copy this address from here? Not the address, but coordinate in Google and change more from here. From the Tropic of Cancer passes through this place. So isn't it amazing? You can search about any place in the world, for example Kaaba, and you can find out its coordinates as well. If you punch in those coordinates in any high-tech device, you will find out that same place. You click over here to find out the coordinates. Once you are at any place, you will get the coordinates here: 21 degrees north and 39 degrees east or west. Find more about it. Is it east or west? Thank you so much and have a great day. Allah Hafiz. You know that the earth has different heat zones as they have different time zones. Browse the internet and find about the natural vegetation and wildlife for any one country located in each heat zone. Do you really need to go to the internet for this? I don't think so, because last year you have already studied different climates of different heat zones. Either think over it, go back to your previous books, or Google the internet. Now, say you have to travel from India to Germany, and then from Germany to Japan, and from Japan to London. So, how will you adjust the time on your watch? And remember, we are not talking about mobile, we are talking about your watch. So think over it, what addition and subtraction you would do to your watch to adjust it according to that time zone. Thank you very much and you have a great day ahead. Happy learning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.